Welcome to Tiafel Garage, where we try it and find out. On this channel, we feature DIY on some classic cars. We also chronicle the classic car lifestyle and experience here in the San Francisco Bay Area in California.
Tiafel Garage.
On today's episode, we will replace the clutch cable in my 1972 Ferrari Dino 246 GTS and also attend a Cars and Coffee that was sponsored by Silicon Valley Ferrari. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It will help out the channel. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you more. We're going to be taking the Dino today. I'll do a cold start here. And with these, I've got the fan on. You gotta leave the fuel pump on for some time to let the carbs floats fill, and then when it's a cold start, you want to pump the gas pedal like twice. 1, 2. Squirts a little fuel in the cylinder. And then halfway down, we'll give it a shot. All right, fired right up. I just ran it yesterday, so maybe part of why it started so easily. Sometimes it's a little harder. We do want to let it warm up for 5 minutes or so. It'll run better once it's warm here. So we'll give that some time while I back out. We gotta close our garage here and the gate. I've got a situation where I think my clutch cable needs adjustment. If I get on the gas, you'll see that the clutch actually slips a little bit. I'll try it here. Yeah, you can hear that, and I don't want to do it too much because it's a slipping clutch, but so the revs aren't lining up with the the speed. So that's something we'll definitely be trying to fix here. Walk around here. Versus Dino. Ferrari with a manual, so you don't see too many of these. Let's say it's a 412. Yeah, 412. So I thought I'd share what happened this morning. Got here, all was well. Then I get a call from my wife that the alarm is going off in the garage. So I had to install a fire alarm and carbon monoxide alarm in the garage in order to get the collector car insurance for the 2 cars there. And this has never happened before, but I guess probably the starting up of the Dino and then subsequent closing of the garage door resulted in a delayed carbon monoxide alarm. Fire department called me. Well, first Michelle, my wife, called me. Then the fire department called me saying, hey, we're coming to your house. I'm like, well, I know there's no problem. There's no people in the garage. Can you not come? And they're like, no, we have to come. And I said, well, can you call my wife? She's home. They're like, okay, what's her number? They called her, but then they still insisted on coming. So they came. And then unfortunately, my wife is not thrilled with me, but it worked out. They just said, leave the door open longer next time or whatever. So good times. 100,000 mile plus. It's a special car. It's got a special story. So GT4, let's go. I got 430. I got the 412 here pulling out. No worries here. Great sound. Above a manual V12 Ferrari. Now we'll do a sort of warm start, leaving the car show here now. So again, leave it on for a little bit. With the warm start, you don't do the whole pumping it, I do just a little bit of gas, and then it usually has to crank for some time before it starts. And we're good to go. We're here at Harbor Freight to get a couple of accessories for our welding project. We did get our clutch cable in here for the Dino. This is very, very easy to slide, and I'm pretty sure the old one is going to be not like that. Hopefully, swapping it out will stop my clutch from slipping, because I think what's happening is the old one is so stiff that it's holding the clutch in a slightly pedal pushed in condition, if you will. So getting at the clutch cable thing, which is behind here, is fairly straightforward. Just take out the spare tire, unhook the bag that holds the fluid for the windshield wiper squirter, and then there's just tiny screws and then a couple of bigger ones underneath. So here's the end of that clutch cable. So looking at the two ends here, they look identical to each other. So I guess the orientation doesn't really matter. So I got the nut off very easily in the lock washer, but it's actually kind of stuck. It's coming free a little bit here. I'm stuck. I'm gonna let the liquid wrench do its thing. I'm gonna see whether the other end is any easier to get out. This pin is actually preloaded here. That lends credence to my theory about the stiction in here pulling on the clutch all the time. You can kind of see how preloaded it is. I'll have to use a wider screwdriver. I was able to get it out by hand for the rest, and the clutch spring popped that thing to the right. As is often the case with these things, I'm stuck needing a tool. In this instance, I can't get to the nut that's there. So plan B is to cut the end of the 21 millimeter wrench, which is, it'll be 1 millimeter too big. The wrench is too long, so now I'm gonna cut the wrench in half. You know what, I think I'm gonna have to grind it. All right, cut away, or ground away even more. Remember, this is 21 and the nut is 20, so I might have to squeeze it a little too. All right, we got it. So it's loose now. I did go ahead and grind it even more. Whenever you've got a tool causing you problems, it's probably worth taking the time to fix the tool, or sharpen the axe, as they say. Success, we got the nut free. So the next challenge, there we go, will be to get that out. Looks like we've got maybe room to hammer from the top. As luck would have it, it's hammering out pretty nicely, more or less kind of whacking it like that from the top. We got the one end out. I did have to remove this, just unscrew it. It was not too hard. I did damage, screwed it without grabbing this shaft with the vice grip, destroying it. So now our challenge is getting this out. It did soak overnight with liquid wrench. I'm gonna try this. I bent the thing that was sticking out, and I put a piece of wood here, and I'm gonna try to hammer the wood to apply a load on the end of that. Oh, success. Wonderful. Just wanted to show that this little grommet here, that's what that looks like. It's split. I used the mirror, I took a photo, and it looks very much like this on the other side. So I do believe it's just a tube that goes through there. And I kind of push through, pull through here. I'm gonna take off this little panel down here. This is actually a great access. So. Yes. Do a length compare here. The new one, I'm going to say it's maybe 2 centimeters longer than the old one. And it's completely unmovable, the old one, whereas this one, as you saw, slides very nicely. You might have seen some rust dust come out through that hole, so just to protect it a little bit, I'm going to blast some PB Blaster. This has a variable throttle on the blast. I'm going to put it full. And from this side as well. I got the new one routed, and I was just careful not to do any tight bends. I was able to get this in just fine. I looked up online about how the clutch adjustment should be. So there's a clutch spring. It's saying that that arm supposed to be within 2 millimeters of play or so, pointed at the where that spring attaches. That's adjusted by that number 1. You loosen the two number 2s and then it adjusts number 1. It says 2 to 10 millimeter offset in that thing there. On the left is where I'm trying to connect to that hole in the, on the right or middle, I guess. This has got to rotate that way. When I do that, this arm here is supposed to be pointed for the drawing towards the spring attachment up there. I got both sides connected now. It's my first time pushing on the clutch pedal. Incredibly smooth, but interestingly, it's not coming up. So this is where it's at with the clutch pedal currently pushed in and staying in. It looks very much like where it's supposed to be adjusted to. So it's actually quite easy to move from the one position to the other. So it is stable in both of those positions. The clutch is all the way disengaged, like pedal is up. And this is the position of the mechanism. I believe my problem is this is too long, because when I look at that diagram, that thing is supposed to be pointed toward the thing that's going up that way. It's supposed to be pointed towards that pivot, which it does almost point to when I pull this down to its other kind of stable position lower. But when it's in that position, the clutch pedal is partway down. This is too short. I'm gonna put a spacer here. Okay, we've got the Porsche nicely covered. So now here into the Dino. Let's see, last night where we left off, we are gonna put a spacer on the clutch cable, and you can see I was successful in getting a little gap there just by same method, hammering it lightly from the top. The clutch thing is kind of stable in this state. It's reinforced stable with this piece of wood. If I took this wood out, it would still stay there, but the minute I start mucking with it, it pops to its other state. This is where we want the setup to be with the clutch up. So the next step is to get that spacer in. I got the spacer in, you can see it looks great. It's the nut is torqued down. The inner nut there on the turnbuckle is 8 millimeters, and those outer two are with the reverse thread. One of them is 11. We've adjusted it now. You can see that turnbuckle is longer. Let's see what happens here. It feels very good. Very smooth. I'm trying to see whether the clutch is engaging or not based on its position. So right now it's in neutral, and I'm able to move the car. So what I want to do is have you hop in, put it in gear, and then I'll move the car and confirm that I can't move it, and then push in the clutch, and then I'll try to move it.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see, it's in neutral. Let me make sure I can move it with you in here. It's even easier. Okay, so now pop it in first gear, which is down and left on this car.
That guy?
Yeah.
Do I have to press anything?
You may as well push in the clutch, I guess. So
And
put it in
then-
first, down and left.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Let
lift
go?
up. Yeah, lift
Let
up.
go of the clutch?
Yeah. And now I'm gonna have to make sure it's in gear. Yeah, it won't move. See, it's bumping. Now push in the clutch, and not the brake, just the clutch.
Okay.
Lift up the clutch. Perfect. It's working. I'm gonna fire it up. It's working wonderfully and smoothly. Soon we'll be ready for a test drive and see if it's still slipping. One thing you learn about these cars is save everything. So this is that broken spring. You just never know. Some things are just unobtainium. Or someone wants to know what the actual geometry was for factory correct. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on Tiafo Garage.